Today's stories include the rumored God of War spin-off game won't come out till 2026, which is really bad for my fantasy
Real
critic.
bad for your fantasy critic.
Oh man, no God of
I'm
War,
up, though.
no 3D Mario game.
I'm real
Oh,
up, though.
No.
Let's go.
What am I gonna do? Capcom's having a showcase, and third-party Switch 2 games are struggling to sell. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. What's up and welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, June 19th, 2025. Happy Juneteenth to you all. Of course, I am Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Happy Juneteenth, Tim.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
I've been listening to a lot of albums recently.
Okay.
I feel like there was like a gap there where I wasn't getting a lot of new like rap albums that I was falling in love with. And like in the last few months, there have been a few. Did you know that Slick Rick dropped a new album?
Yes. Well, okay. Actually, I knew he was preparing to. I did not know it actually
dropped. Yes.
Oh.
It's fully out and it
Okay.
sounds great.
Good.
It's like weirdly like Slick Rick, I don't think has dropped an album in decades at least. And I've only given it like a listen and a half so far.
Fuck yes.
But there's one song I keep coming back to. He has a song on there, of course, with Nas. And let me tell you, that shit's been on repeat, Tim.
Oh, this is exciting. It came out June 13th. Damn, it's been out a week.
Yeah.
Why is no one talking about this?
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for bringing it to
Yes,
me.
everybody.
That's amazing.
If you're a fan of rap music, go listen to the new Slick
Storytelling
Rick
rap.
album. Storytelling
Specifically,
rap.
You know, this guy.
La di da di da. I love that
come
guy.
on,
Every
man.
time he hits a
So
la di da di,
fun.
oh
Yeah.
man, dude, that gets me on another
Every
level.
time he hits a lottie-dottie.
A Lottie Dottie from Slick Rick is different.
It hits different.
I don't know if you listen to Little Sims. I'm sure I've talked to you about
You've
Little
talked to
Sims
me
before.
about it, yeah, but
she
no.
dropped a new album.
She's
It's
the UK
phenomenal.
one, right?
Yes, UK
Yeah.
rapper who like is more of a way less of like a grime or like hype like, you know, a Skepto or any other UK rapper, and way more like conscious. She almost occupies like more of a like old school Kanye meets Kendrick meets Lauryn Hill, like in
Okay,
that
cool.
that sort of vibe. Love her. I've loved her last like 4 albums. This one's fantastic as well. And then also an album from quite a few months ago from a rapper named Saba, who I've always been aware of, but never dove into his albums. He had an album drop like a few months ago, actually. It's called, it's something Saba and No ID. Somebody in chat will get me on that one. But like, it's Saba and No ID, the producer,
Damn.
producing the entire thing.
What's No ID been up to?
I mean, he's just making hits.
Yeah, but like what? Who's he linked up with in the last?
I mean,
Because I remember like a lot of the Jay-Z No ID stuff from, or I guess Kanye No ID stuff as well. But
isn't he signed? I assumed he was signed to like Rock Nation because he did like a lot of J. Cole stuff as well.
Yeah.
He did like Logic album. He must be.
okay, yeah, Logic. All right, that makes sense then.
Yeah, so he must be signed to like either. Oh, he's from Chicago. That makes a lot of sense. He must be signed to either Def Jam or Rock Nation or something. But yeah, go check out the Saba and No ID album as well, yo.
Sick. Okay, hey, love that. Well, everyone, remember, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through all the video game news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please support us with the Kinda Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, and now Spotify and Apple Podcast to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be part of this show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go.
From the private collection of Saba and No ID is the name of
That's
the
what it's called?
Yes.
Dude, that's interesting. It's funny because I was about to bring this up that there is nothing quite like one of your favorite artists dropping out an unreleased song from a different era that you loved them. You know what I mean? When they drop like a whole project and it's like a full album of old stuff, I don't think it hits quite the same.
Yeah.
It's when it's like 1 or 2 songs and it feels like you uncovered
Dude,
gold.
let me tell you, I don't know if you missed this or if you saw this. J. Cole did that. He dropped in 2025, I think the beginning of this year, an expanded version of Forest Hills Drive, which is like his best album. And it came with like 8 new songs.
And that was my problem. Too many.
Oh, really?
If they just gave me 1 or 2 of them, I feel like it would have just like felt different. Whereas that just felt like, all right.
Yeah, here's a bunch of
all of a
music
sudden
that
it
sounds
starts feeling like just B-sides, which I know that's all that they are anyways.
Yeah.
It feels like cut songs. But when you just have like the 1 or 2, it feels like, oh, we found the missing one. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just dumb shit in my head.
Oh,
but
also Lil Wayne released an album.
yeah, he did.
I got nothing to say about it.
Yeah,
I got nothing to say about it. Lin-Manuel Miranda produced a song on it.
Did he?
It's the worst song on it. Yeah.
Oh,
it's the worst song
on it. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
It's tough.
Couple good beats on it. And it's still Lil Wayne.
I couldn't make it through the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still have it.
Yeah.
I will one day.
No,
but
you won't.
I will finish it.
You think so?
I will finish every Carter album. I feel like I owe that.
That's
to
one of
the
those
man.
ones where like I'll take if Lil Wayne has songs from the Carter 3 era or Carter 2, drop those.
Give me those.
Give me those.
Give
I
me
don't want
those.
new Lil Wayne stuff anymore. I'm tired.
You're right. Maybe I'll just listen to Carter 3 again.
Oh, I know there's a video game podcast, but another thing just came to mind. Did you listen to Clips back in the
Yes.
day?
Oh, of course.
Have you heard their 2 new songs?
No.
You absolutely need to listen to their latest single.
Oh,
It's
I
called
love this.
So Be It,
Okay.
produced by Pharrell.
Classic.
Oh
Let's
my
go.
God. When I tell you, it's my song of the year currently.
Oh shit.
It's fucking classic Clip shit.
Oh shit.
Insane beat, insane bars, the rapping top level. There's a diss in there to Travis Scott. It's fucking incredible.
I'm not seeing it here.
Oh, it's not on Spotify. It's
oh,
on YouTube.
okay.
It's only on YouTube
Okay,
for now.
okay,
It'll be
cool,
on
cool,
Spotify probably by the end of the week.
Cool. Were you? I know I'm a handful of years older than you.
Uh-huh.
Was Grindin' by Clips?
Yo, I was listening to that yesterday.
I know it's important to you, but
Yeah.
was it culturally important to the school? Like, could you walk by a cafeteria table without kids doing the beat on the table?
No, but it's funny because it was my older sister's friends that put me on to grind. And they're the ones that were always like recreating the grind to beat with beatboxing early, like hitting the desks or whatever.
Yeah.
But not in my school necessarily.
Yeah. Oh man, that was my entire middle school experience.
Dude, I could
Those poor
imagine.
teachers. Actually, they were listening to some of the best beats of all time.
Yeah, they're like they're getting hyped too.
Little housekeeping for you. We're an 11-person business all about live talk shows. Today, after Kind of Funny Games Daily, you'll get a Gamescast that's very special. This is Roger's Caroline Polachek interview. Y'all have heard the story, but now we're going to get into the mind of the artist herself, talking about how her and Kojima meeting actually went down and all that stuff. Very
Super
cool.
exciting.
So proud of Roger. This is awesome. Like, I love that this is how far some of these crazy things that we do can get.
Yeah.
So awesome stuff. Then after that, Gamescast is going to be Superman 2 in review. Last week's episode was about 3 hours long. We'll see what Greg has today. I'm sure there's a lot for him to talk about. He knows so much about these movies, bless. Him and Nick know more about the making of Superman the movie than me and you know about anything in our
I
lives.
gotta listen to,
Like,
to
it's
that.
insane.
That's awesome.
Then the stream after that is The Last of Us Part 2 with Mike and Nick. The reason they are doing that is it is the 5th anniversary of The Last of Us Part 2. And also
crazy.
it's the Naughty Dog, it's Naughty Dog week here. And Barrett's new project is coming out on Friday where he replayed all the Naughty Dog games. Very excited for that as well. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays, but we'll tell you all about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time. It's time for some news. We have
Tim's not
5
hosting in a
stories
second.
today.
A baker's dozen.
And can I tell you that I know 5 years since The Last was Part 2 feels like a long time. I saw a thing the other day. It's been a decade since they released Rocket League. It's been 10 years
Dang.
since Rocket League.
Dang.
That game still feels like it released yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, real talk, it does feel like I would give it. I mean, if I thought about it, I would know it's more. But like just gut instinct, 4 years ago.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
I feel that.
It's like, yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
like one of those
10
games.
years.
When you talk about timeless games, we need to do a list, our own shit list of
Yeah.
like top 10 most timeless games.
Most timeless
Because Rocket
games,
League
yeah.
could release today and it's still a fucking banger.
Yeah.
Still a fucking
That's a
banger.
great point. Story number 1 here. Rumored God of War spinoff pushed back to 2026, according to insiders. This comes from the homie Alessandro Barbosa at GameSpot. A rumored God of War game taking place in the series' original setting of Greece was absent from Sony's latest state of play, leading to questions regarding its existence. But according to those who initially reported on the project, it's supposedly been moved to release in 2026. While lamenting the state of his fantasy critic draft, we're all the same. On the latest episode of the Last of the Nintendogs, Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb shares that he's heard the latest God of War titles now due to come out in 2026. No additional information regarding the reasoning for the move or whether it was the release window all along was shared. When first reported, this latest entry in the God of War franchise was described as a side story that would take the series back to Greece and that it would release this year. Just before Sony's State of Play, Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson suggested that the game was smaller in scope than previously thought, while adopting a Metroidvania format in 2D, with Grubb seemingly confirming he had heard the same.
It's hilarious to have a story about a delay for a game that's not even announced yet.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about rumors being pushed back. Like,
Yeah.
we're not saying the game itself is delayed. You know,
for
it's kind of
sure.
just like, all right, the plans for the game that we heard were this are now that, right?
Yes.
The thing that bothers me more, it's not in this article, but when I first heard about this, people were referring to it as I'm going to need help here, blanking on
The
it.
God of War side
it
story.
It wasn't a Metroidvania. It was like an action and
search and action.
Get the hell out of here.
A search
we
and
are
action.
simply not doing that.
No.
We're just not doing that.
Not at all.
That's crazy.
And why are we doing? Is it that they don't want to say the word Metroid?
Yeah, they're all hoity-toity.
Like if
you know?
PlayStation announces a Metroidvania, it's like, well, we're not going to call a God of War Metroid.
A search action game. Like, I hope that the
Even if you
people that
call
use that are happy. You know, I hope that they're like, we're doing something out here. And I get it. Everyone has their own weird things they want to hold on to. And I love that for you. It won't be for me.
But like, here's my thing. Because I think we could workshop it. Because I understand to some extent not wanting to say Metroidvania in your marketing, but like 2D action platformer, I feel like that gets the point across. Now, like if you want to imply Metroidvania elements, I guess like explorative 2D action platformer. I feel like you need one more adjective in there.
Or you just call it what it is. I love when I get a PR release from a game, specifically when it's from like a bigger developer or publisher, and they just straight up call it a Metroidvania. Like I remember when Ori and Xbox and Microsoft were calling it Metroidvania. I'm like, good for you.
Yes.
Good for you.
This is what we know it as.
Yes. And you were just like not being weird.
If it's a Souls-like, call it a Souls-like.
That was a goddamn
Don't call it a
Souls-like.
deep action RPG. Have you seen this before?
Oh, these deep action
Deep
RPGs,
action
everybody.
RPGs? Get out of here.
But getting back to the news here, I'm bummed for my fantasy critic. I'm more bummed because I want to play this game. Like, this sounds awesome.
This was always a weird one because it's left field. And in the rumors, right, like Jeff Grubb, and also, Jeff Grubb was saying that it was planned for this year, and then later on, Tom Warren corroborated at least that this game exists and is coming soon, right? I think this year felt weird in the sense of like we have big, like DS2 is coming out in like a week or two.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's coming out in the next, I think in a week. You have Ghost of Yote that's coming out in September. You have, Marathon was planned for September, or I think I got the Ghost of Yote month wrong, but Ghost of Yote is coming out this fall. But yeah, Marathon was planned for September. It felt like the tracks were being laid for from PlayStation in a way that made sense, in a way that like maybe you wouldn't need a 2D search action Metroidvania God of War game. Like maybe that's something you can hold for next year. Now, granted, you go back to last year and the way that PlayStation announced games, and like you want to talk about left field, they announced the Horizon Lego game at Summer Game Fest, and then that came out later that year. So
did Astrobot.
So that's not, it wouldn't be out of character for PlayStation to just announce a God of War spin-off, like especially a 2D thing to come out later in the year. But I feel like this year from PlayStation doesn't necessarily need it.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, and I also feel like, I mean, these stories are saying it's next year now, which like I do believe more than what I'm about to say, but I also think it's not too late to announce it for this year if they were going to. If this is a smaller scale 2D Metroidvania, like I have a feeling they're probably further along in this. That this is the type of game that like is probably ready, you know, and I think it might just be more of a strategy thing at this point, which I think we don't need this. This doesn't need to be a fall game. It could be a spring game and be equally viable in the market.
Yeah. It could be a January game, honestly.
Exactly. I mean, Prince of Persia Lost Crown was, right? So yeah, regardless, excited for this. I do love that it's still being talked about because I feel like there's just even more evidence that it's real, you know, because we are talking about something that is not official yet. So I like that it's starting to feel more and more like, oh, within the next year, we're going to be playing a 2D God of War game. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it feels like it's the most where there's smokes, there's flames kind of thing happening, where it's like, all right, cool. We've had multiple people who are the people that you kind of trust when it comes to these kind of rumors, when it comes to insider information, talk about it. And I think it lines up in a very fun way. Like I think you connecting the dots as far as when we had God of War Ragnarok's director here, and we asked him about like what would be your dream kind of project to make, and he mentioned Castlevania, like
Symphony of the Night specifically.
Symphony of the Night. And it's funny because I think we all contextualized it, and I would have to go back and re-listen to it to hear the exact phrasing. But like I think we all thought, you're taking Castlevania and putting it in a 3D action God of War like scenario. Oh, but what if you just put God of War in a 2D search and action type scenario?
Yeah.
Like that makes so much sense. It's the Prince of Persia Lost Crown thing of, oh, I can see the translation to how you get there as far as
Absolutely.
Kratos and his abilities and him literally being a Greek god, which I think opens up like what that looks like as far as Metroidvania like abilities. And that could even be in the weapons as well, because we know Kratos loves to collect different weapons.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I forget the story on who was developing this. Like, I feel like there's obviously still question, like it's not confirmed.
I don't think we know. I don't think there was ever a rumor.
Well, I do remember it was talking about where it seemed like it wasn't going to be Eric Williams, right? It was like going to be a different team that wasn't Sony Santa Monica, or maybe a different part of it. I don't know. If y'all have any more information, please let us know there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. And like now thinking about it a little more, it's like it could not be Kratos, right? It could be Atreus. Like it could be
In Greece?
yeah. Like what if he adventured over there to learn about his father's past or something? You know
that's
what I
kinda
mean?
cool,
Like there's
actually.
things they
That's
could
actually
do,
really
right?
neat. I like that.
But yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
And
all right.
where does this put you as far as how you view PlayStation's 2026? I know we're a little bit early, but when you're thinking about what's coming out from PlayStation next year, right now we have Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls,
Mhm.
and then you have theoretically rumored this. Do you think we get any AAA game we know, like a Wolverine or a Intergalactic?
Yes. I don't think we get Intergalactic.
Uh-huh.
I do think that we get a big exciting game in the same way that Ghost of Yotei is going to be for this year.
Yeah. What do you think that game
like
is?
a core PlayStation Studios title, like so not even like a Death Stranding type thing. Like obviously we have that now. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Wolverine's probably a good bet.
I mean, Wolverine is the only one I can think of immediately that would make sense to be ready. I would also I'll throw out a hot prediction. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Team Asobi game by next year. They work quick. They're a small team, and like I'm not convinced that they're only working on Astrobot stuff, or at least like regular 3D platformer. God, they fucked me up on genres.
Yeah.
At least like a regular 3D platformer Astrobot. Like I could see them working on like other similarly scoped or even smaller projects.
Which I think would be absolutely amazing. I think next year might be a little early, but maybe not. You're right. Like if they do figure this out and like come up with a cadence, like it'd be so sick to have Team Asobi releasing games like we used to get games on PS2, you know, of just like it doesn't need to be 5 years between projects, it could be 2.
And I think you want to cultivate that as PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Like I think you need to have more Insomniacs. You need to have more studios that can like spit out quality games at a more quicker pace.
Quality games at a quick pace that are getting nominated or winning Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Which is like that's the tallest ask of all time.
Yeah, but I mean they have a couple studios that are doing that, or at least have done that. Like it's been a while for Insomniac at this point. I think 2026 is interesting because we have GTA 6 to contend with as well.
Sure.
So you don't want to put out something too close to that. What's that even mean? Too close could mean months, right?
Sure.
Like GTA could just destroy the industry.
Did Saros
and then
get
Saros I think is guaranteed next year.
2026? Did they say 2026 in the trailer? I think they did.
I think so. Yes, they did, and I would imagine Saros is before GTA 6.
Ooh,
because wasn't Returnal like March?
Returnal was definitely a spring game.
Because I could see March or April for Saros, which would make sense. I think that is where I would put it.
You'd either. It's the funny thing of what's the right placement in regards to GTA 6, and I think any time, even if it's like weeks before, I think is fine. I think after GTA 6 is out, you might want to push like a month and a half after that, or like maybe 2 months after that.
Yeah.
Like I think that whatever that release date is, you got to clear the runway after that as far as what you have coming out. But as long as you release like weeks before GTA 6, I think you're fine, especially if you're really pushing for those first few week sales. Like GTA 6, I think is going to take up the mind share and take up the space as soon as it hits. As soon as that comet hits the planet, like that's when you need to clear. So yeah, I could see it being April, but funny enough, I feel like for that one I can also see it being like late summer. Like I for some reason I don't get the vibe of we're ready to like put this out in the next like 12 months.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We will, man. It is very, very interesting. We got a couple super chats I want to get to here. Volk Dasher says, a question: can a game be delayed if never announced and only a couple insiders have spoken about it? Anywho, I imagine it'll be a spring game to keep things trucking before GTA. I mean, yeah, because we're talking about internal delays.
Yeah.
Like if there was like a plan internally for a game and then that gets pushed, like that is still a delay. It's just not an official delay because it wasn't an official announcement.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, spring game, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I think would be very, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful for that.
And I mean that'd be like a real good actually this is so because now I'm in the thing of if God of War, right, if it was supposed to come out this year, gets delayed to next year, I think let's say February, March is where you place that. I think the Marvel fighting game, you need to have it out before Evo. I think 1000% PlayStation wants it out before Evo. So you're talking about before August if Evo happens in August, which it most of the time does. So you're talking about first half of the year. That I could see being April, get it out the month before GTA, which I think for me then pushes Soros into the second half. I think that's how I start to place it.
I don't think Soros and Marvel step on each other at all. Like I can see them both launching even within like 2 weeks of each other, and like that would be fine. I think they'll both get adequate market pushes anyways.
Yeah. But I'm thinking of the thing of like I'm sure PlayStation wants a big fall title. And do you have anything that's not Soros for a big fall title?
Wolverine. I mean, I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah?
Like I am. I think that Wolverine has to come out eventually, and I think that it's been
that'd be so sick.
A long time.
That'd be a great year.
Yeah, it would, and I think it's likely actually that it hits 2026, and if so, it would be late. It wouldn't be early. So
nice.
Then we got Volkdasher saying, "Does this God of War spinoff get a Switch 2 release like Lego Horizon?" I would really hope so, specifically because I think Metroidvanias need as much help as they can get in terms of sales, and like you just want to be where players are, and Switch 2 players and Steam players play Metroidvanias. So I think that'd be a great brand awareness play for the God of War franchise, especially, I mean, we'll see if it is any less violent than the core games, but maybe it is a little bit.
See, that's where I was leaning, because I think you're right as far as the Metroidvania aspect, and also I don't think PlayStation is looking at a God of War Metroidvania as being a console seller, and so I think they would be more lenient on the business side, but at the same time, I think PlayStation, when they look at Lego Horizons, they view that as a kid's game. And I think when they look at Switch, they probably view a more viable audience as far as like the family aspect of what the Switch 2 is. I wouldn't be surprised if they decided not to put a God of War Metroidvania on Switch 2 if it's like violent. Or I think even just inherently for what God of War is. God of War is violent, God of War is sexual, all these things.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was just rated teen instead of rated M. And just like try to get a slightly younger audience, or at least like market to a slightly younger audience than they're traditionally doing with that franchise to prepare them for the next big M-rated God of War console game when they come of age.
Yeah.
But I also just think it'd be smart business for them to put it on the Switch and Steam day and date and like launch with that stuff and push it, because you're only going to get that one marketing push. And I do think that the idea of God of War Valhalla being announced at Game Awards and then being playable that day and how good that was, I wouldn't be surprised if this year's Game Awards, with the history Game Awards and Keighley and PlayStation have had, that's where now the God of War announcement's made, and
that makes sense.
Then it comes out. I don't think it'll be a shadow drop,
like
but
months after,
maybe even January, like maybe it being a real imminent thing of like, hey, let's kick off the year with this. But yeah, a lot of questions there, and I do think it's great that we're at a time that we are actively questioning, will a God of War game be coming to Switch? And that's not a guaranteed yes by any means, but it's not.
There's a conversation there. Yeah.
There was a Lego Horizon game. There's the differences there of it wasn't Guerrilla that made it, right? It was a different team. But the rumors are this isn't Sony Santa Monica. It's a different team. So,
I think it's Sony Santa Monica. That's my prediction.
Yeah,
I think they're working on it internally. But I forget if there was like a thing online in the rumors talking about it.
Oh man, I swear I saw something. But yeah, if you're wrong, me please. And that's that for now. Story number 2. Capcom Spotlight will provide a closer look at Resident Evil 9, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Pragmata. This comes from Claire Lewis at Polygon. Capcom's announced its upcoming game showcase, Capcom Spotlight, which will take place next Thursday, June 26th. The announcement was released alongside a short teaser trailer, giving Capcom fans a brief glimpse of the games they can expect to see at the showcase. Scheduled to last roughly 40 minutes, the live-streamed event will be showing off upcoming games like Pragmata and Resident Evil Requiem, along with updates for pre-existing titles like Monster Hunter Wilds and Street Fighter VI. The Capcom Spotlight showcase begins at 3 p.m. Pacific time.
So people in chat are mentioning this, which is jogging my memory, right? I think there was a conversation about the Blasphemous team doing work on it, but I don't know if they're assisting it and Sony Santa Monica was leading it,
That would be insane.
I mean, that'd be
but
fucking
they're working
sick.
on Ninja Gaiden, right?
The Blasphemous
Ragebound?
team?
Aren't they? Isn't that right?
Oh, maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, they're on Ragebound.
Okay, well, maybe those are wrong. Maybe those are false, because those are more...
I mean, that'd be freaking sick. If a God of War game looked like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound,
oh
my God.
Capcom Spotlight.
Yeah, cool.
So, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
They list the games here. Resident Evil Requiem, right? We're talking about that. We're talking about Pragmata. You're talking about more for Monster Hunter Wilds and Street Fighter 6. All good titles, all good, all big games. But Capcom Showcase, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, it's historically always right? Like
absolutely.
It's always whack.
And it's always weird. There's always weird things. This is where the Pragmata Sawi thing came from. This is where like we didn't get the Onimusha stuff somewhere, but then we did get it here. It's just like always just like, wait, why didn't you just do the thing in another place or whatever? But this one, I'm not mad at. Like this one, I think is presenting as a like Donkey Kong Bonanza Nintendo Direct, where it's like, hey, they're not teeing up announcements here. There's like, they have already announced their games in the last couple weeks. Resident Evil Requiem, like we're not going into this being like, oh man, is the new RE going to be here? Is the new Mega Man showing up? Is the new Devil May Cry? It's like, no, they're like, hey, here's the games. We're going to give you updates on them. And getting how little we've gotten so far of Resident Evil 9. Having said that, we've already gotten the announcement and then previews.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I love how Capcom works sometimes with that stuff. But we're about to get more here. I'm like, all right, cool. Like this is one where I'm like, we don't need to live react to it. You know what I mean?
I kind of want to.
But like maybe we do. Like I think it's more schedule based of like, but that's because, are you interested in these games?
Well, here's the thing. I'm interested in these games, but I'm not fully sure. I know they're saying 40 minutes, but I'm not so sure that they're not just going to show us the same Pragmata trailer and the same Resident Evil Requiem trailers that we've seen, because they've done that before.
They absolutely do that before. They'll probably be like one little bit of weird new information in a developer talking to camera part in between trailers, and he says one thing and you're like, what? But like that's what this is going to be. Like,
yeah, my one hope, and this is copium more than anything, right? Is that like, or hopium, whatever they call it, is that because of the previews that we've gotten out of Pragmata and out of, you said we got Resident Evil Requiem previews as well?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing previews, like I think that means that there's more gameplay content that you could show there. I would expect like to see some of what the press got to experience in those previews. That's the hope and expectation based out of how other companies would do it. But Capcom, I think, whenever it comes, it's funny because Capcom, I think, is great with their marketing outside of Capcom Spotlight,
I agree.
which they just hate Capcom Spotlight for some reason. Like they just don't treat it well.
Yeah, I got a tweet yesterday from Big CO who said, no need to have an episode on this just to hate on it since they told you from the jump what's being covered. Yeah. And they just like tagged me in that from the Capcom tweet. Like I wasn't even saying anything. I was just straying. They pulled me into that.
That's so
and
funny.
It's like, I get where they're coming from, but also it's like, yo, we judge these spotlights and as how well are they marketing? How well are they combining their different marketing materials to create a entertaining 40 minutes of something they expect us to sit down and watch? And like, we're going to critique that. And so far, Capcom's, I think, done a piss poor job of doing that. But at the end of the day, if there's a collection of games that we're interested in, and this, I always go back to this, are there questions that we're looking to be answered? And I think we're in a weird place with this Capcom showcase that the answer is just no.
Yeah.
We have the answers. We know Resident Evil 9's release date is next February. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, what are we waiting for here? Like, I feel like this is more just, it's going to be a collection of older trailers, and I expect very little new news from this.
Yeah. So, like, nothing exciting. Like, nothing for you that, like, you could see, for as far as predictions that you think will happen.
I mean, the one thing I'm excited about is Resident Evil 9. I want to see more of that game. I haven't seen gameplay of it yet. You know, people have. Like, they got to go behind closed doors and see gameplay. I want to see what it looks like. I know you can go between first and third person. What's that look like?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know, that's my one thing. But
I mean, I'm in that same place of like my expectations are so low, but part of me is like, what if you did announce a new Mega Man? What if you did announce like something? What if you announced RE9's VR mode? Like,
yeah. I mean,
are there things around that? Do you announce Resident Evil 4 remake for Switch 2 here?
God, that's a great segue. That's a great segue, but I can't take it because I got to segue to some ads. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or simply return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team are always there to have your back with personal and fast support. Y'all know I've been outside a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code FUNNY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, go to shadyrays.com, use code FUNNY to get 35% off polarized sunglasses. Man, you set me up so well.
Hey, we can knock it down here.
Go for it.
Oh, no. Well, I don't have... I've already forgotten the thing.
Well, the segue, you were saying, do you think they're going to announce a port of Resident Evil 2 or 4 remake to the Switch 2? And I was like, well, story number 3, everybody. Third-party Switch 2 game sales have started off slow, with one publisher selling below our lowest estimates. This comes from Jordan Middler at VGC. Third-party games have reportedly struggled to sell on Nintendo Switch 2 at launch, with one publisher claiming that its game has sold, quote, below our lowest estimates. While the Switch 2 hardware has enjoyed record-breaking launch sales, some third-party publishers have reportedly found the console's success hasn't translated to a thriving third-party market yet. In a new report from the game business, it's claimed that other than CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk 2077, most third-party games have struggled to sell on Switch 2. Quote, most third-party Switch 2 games posted very low numbers. One third-party publisher characterized the numbers as below our lowest estimation. Okay, we're just going in circles here. According to the report, 62% of Switch 2 physical game sales in the U.S. during the console's launch week came from first-party titles. This excludes the Mario Kart World bundle, which accounted for the vast majority of its console sales in the region. According to Circana data, the 3 best-selling physical games in the U.S. during the Switch 2's launch were Mario Kart World, Cyberpunk 2077, and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. Nielsen IQ data shows that in the UK, 86% of Switch 2 physical games sold in the UK during the launch week were first party. If the Mario Kart World bundle's included, if it's excluded, the figure's 48%. Cyberpunk 2077 was the best-selling third-party game in the UK during the system's launch week. So many numbers, so many interesting things to tackle. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Ooh. I want to start with Cyberpunk 2077 because that's the thing that stands out to me the most is like, and this is kind of unrelated to everything else, just how good that game is, I guess, like how much the audiences kind of vibe and fuck with Cyberpunk 2077 now. I think about that journey from where that game launched in 2020 and where we're at now, where it's the one third-party Switch 2 game that's like really doing numbers. Because like, I think if we're getting into the reasons of why are these third-party games not selling well on the Switch 2 so far? Like, Tim, what are some that come to mind for you?
Oh, man. I mean, that's the thing. This is such a fascinating conversation because, I've been going into the last, since the announcement of the Switch 2, since we got the actual facts of the hardware stats and the tech ability of the Switch 2. I've been banging the drum of this is about to be a game changer because Nintendo is finally going to have the one thing it's always lacked since the Super Nintendo, which is third-party support. Mm-hmm. They were the kings on the Super Nintendo. That was 30 years ago. Nintendo 64 did not win, did not even compete necessarily in that console generation against PlayStation because it didn't have the third-party games. You go on forward to the GameCube, same story. The Wii even more so. Yeah. They got the support, but it was for a very different type of game. Wii U, even worse, blah, blah, blah. The Switch is underpowered, so we were getting cloud versions, all this. We get to the Switch 2, and it's the first time we actually have a level of parity of good enough. It can actually play the games.
Yeah.
I still stand by that is going to work out. And I do think that years down the line, we're going to be looking at this, and it's going to be a thriving, successful system on the third-party side with a ton of support. I'm very concerned that at Summer Game Fest, we didn't see the Xbox announcements. We didn't see a ton of other third-party big dogs coming in and filling out the year. We've been talking about this a lot on the show. So I'm very much like, I thought this was going to be hit the ground running. And we are clearly not doing that in the way that I expected. Having said that, Cyberpunk being the success, I think is more the story than the other games not selling well. Because what are they and how are they? What's interesting here is we're talking about the physical sales of these games.
Yeah.
Couple things against that. besides Cyberpunk, these games are all that key card bullshit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just negative talk around that. In addition to that, I know that that's a fairly online-minded take of like, is that really going to affect people buying these games in stores? Well, I also think people buying a Switch 2 at launch when they're in the store, I don't know that Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is really going to be the thing pulling people in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Sonic and Shadow Generations, without an upgrade path from the old one, at a increased price, is going to be the right call when you're just buying a code in a box, right?
I mean, Yakuza 0, I would say the same thing for
Hitman, World of Assassination, Street Fighter. You look at these and 1/3 of the box art's taken up by the goddamn Switch 2 logo. 1/3 of the box art's taken up by text that's essentially saying, don't buy this.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like there is just a lot of that stuff that's going into it that I'm like, all right, so we're paying for old games that are more expensive and you're not even actually getting the physical version. I'm interested in the digital sales of these third-party games. I don't think they're going to be astronomical, but I do think that part of the story is more relevant because I'm not surprised at all that these third-party games we're talking about didn't sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cyberpunk did, and guess what? Cyberpunk full-on cart.
Yeah, and to bring in Kelsey Lewin, who is a friend of the show, and then also she is co-owner of some of my favorite game stores up in Seattle, Pink Gorilla. She quote tweeted the story and says, "We had very low expectation carrying these in store, but can anecdotally confirm no one is buying these." Right, talking about the third party like Sonic and Shadows, Yakuza 0, Street Fighter 6, and all that stuff. Right, and I think there has been such bad press around the key card situation, and your physical card literally just being a key to unlock your digital download for the game. Like, I think that rubs people the wrong way and makes them go, okay, well, I'll just buy the digital version instead. I think I'm fascinated to see what the digital sales are like, because I think regardless, I would still not be surprised if they're low. And
me too.
And I think that's just what the games are. I think Cyberpunk is more of an exciting prospect because of like I think how good that game runs on Switch 2 and how good it looks on Switch 2, and like I also think there's just such an audience for Cyberpunk, and that's a bigger release. But I think the slate that you have at Switch 2 launch for third-party titles just isn't an exciting slate. You know what I mean? Like, there's a specific audience that's going to buy a Yakuza 0. Like, Sonic is big, right? But even, like, Sonic is big because the IP is big and you have so many entries. But, like, like a Sonic and Shadow Cross, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations isn't going to be the big game that's going to sell millions of units on the Switch 2 at launch. You know, I would say the same for pretty much most of these games. Like, I would want to see what Elden Ring sells on Switch 2.
1000%. And there is something to be said about being at launch, right? There's the fervor and excitement of people buying games. It is funny because anecdotally, I was at 3, 4, 5 different stores around the Switch launch because of picking up different Switches or being with friends, buying them in the Nintendo store, Best Buys, Targets, like, and seeing people buy games. And what were they buying? They were buying
Tears of the Kingdom,
Tears
Mario
of the
Kart
Kingdom,
World,
Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart World, and Cyberpunk. Like, those are the games. No one's surprised. That makes total sense. And also, I do think it's pretty telling. Those are the, maybe not only, but those are the games that are full on card and don't have the hideous box arts that are really not pushing people to be like, buy me. They're like, wait, that looks like some weird knockoff shit.
And I think you also have the problem of, like, you just don't have any new exciting third-party games. Like, you brought up even Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, which I believe is a new game. Not an exciting new game. No offense, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. But, like, it's not an exciting new game. I think it's the Switch 2 being a backwards compatible console may have, I think, messed with projections from Nintendo as far as, like, how their strategy here should differ compared to strategies with previous stuff, right? Because
was it from Nintendo? Because to me, it's not from Nintendo. It sounds like it's from Sega. Right?
I can see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like Nintendo nailed it. Nintendo's like, hey, we're going to put this system out. It's going to be the best-selling system. We're going to put Mario Kart. The attach rate's going to be... What, you see that thing? The attach rate for Mario Kart was like 80%?
Yeah. Over 80% is fucking insane. But also
that was
makes
them
sense.
talking about the physicals, right?
Yeah.
What about digital?
Yeah. And
is it even higher?
And my thing is, not that Nintendo cares that much, because over 80% of an attachment rate for Mario Kart World, 3-point-something million units of the Switch 2 hardware sold, right? But I think on the third party side, there should have been more advising from them as far as like, yo, this shit is backwards compatible. Don't put Yakuza 0 as a new version on launch at Switch 2. It doesn't make sense because people are going to pick up the Switch 2. And what do people play on Nintendo consoles? They play Nintendo games. And so they're going to go back and they're going to play Tears. They're going to play Breath of the Wild. They're going to play Kirby in the Forgotten Land. They're going to play Smash. They're going to play Kart. They're going to play all of those games that are still playable on their Switch 2. They're not going to fucking buy Yakuza 0 or like these other games that they probably already played on other platforms. And so I it's the thing where I would almost, the thing that I point to Nintendo is maybe you should have advised third parties to put new games out on the Switch too, but also that's a whole can of worms.
Launch, right?
Yeah,
Because that's where we're at now. It's like, all right, cool. So we are a couple weeks into the Switch 2 being alive.
Yeah.
A beautiful baby boy.
Beautiful baby boy.
And we do have a handful of games that we don't know the release date for in the form of Star Wars Outlaws, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Elden Ring, Tarnished Edition or whatever they're going to call it,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, all right, cool, Star Wars Outlaws, we can say what we want about that. But Final Fantasy VII and Elden Ring, those are the ones to keep our eyes on. Like, as third-party games, specifically, I wonder if they're going to be full-on cart or not. Like, I doubt it for Square. Elden Ring, I could see them pushing to do it.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to come from that. And I also do wonder how much that matters.
How much can fit on these carts nowadays?
Well, that's the problem. Is like there's two options, and it's like, well, if you're pushing up towards that, it's like, do you want to double the cost of it to get there? But I think that Elden Ring might do that. I could also see them being like, fuck that, we're not doing that. Why would we?
Yeah.
But I do wonder how much of a impact this stuff's actually going to have. Like we're right now in this moment of launch where all the little details matter way more than they're going to later.
Because I think all that affects really is like physical versus digital as far as like where that percentage comes in.
So that I think is the important thing for us to keep in mind going forward here is right now we have 3.5 million Switch 2s out there at the very least.
Yeah.
It's probably closer to 5 million at this point. Maybe 4 million. I don't know. But like we're getting up there, but it's still not like insane. You got to imagine by the end of the fiscal year that their projections were 20 or 15 million and they bumped them up to 20, right? Like I think that's going to be hit. Third parties that have a inkling that their games are going to sell incredibly well, why would you
now?
Just wait till there's more Switches out there to sell these games to. You know,
I think that makes perfect sense.
And I think that those are going to start doing very, very well. But then there's also two factors to keep in mind that we'll just have to see if it remains true going forward. Nintendo sells more physical games than PlayStation or Xbox does. Like Nintendo gamers like physical more.
Yeah.
Data backs that up. How true is that going to be on Switch 2 if this game keycard thing continues to be a thing? Will it change that? And I do think that's going to factor into how we talk about these games selling when it is just physical. And Nintendo doesn't really release digital data except for their big like quarterly or yearly dumps, right?
Yeah.
The third parties can do whatever they want. But this conversation is going to continue to shift. But I do think it's important to note that, these games that we're talking about not selling, I'm not surprised at all. And it feels like there's a couple things you can point to and be like, well, it's because of this, this, and this.
Yeah, exactly. Good conversation, Tim.
Alex G3B says, everyone forgets Switch 2 gets Hades 2 first. That's wild.
I keep forgetting that part.
Man, and that still bums me out.
And that's like, well, that brings me back to when you're talking about the launch slate. Like the number that I'm fascinated about, or not even fascinated about, the thing that I would bet on is that Deltarune probably did fantastic. Because that is a new, exciting software. And that's even something that's digital only, right? And I don't even know if we're going to ever get numbers for what that is, right? But like, when I'm talking about what I'm excited to play on day one of Switch launch, it is Mario Kart World and Deltarune, and then Soul Calibur 2. And I think there's a lot of people that are in the boat of like, yeah, I'm here to play the new stuff. I'm not here to play these games that I've played on like other platforms, especially if I'm going to buy the physical thing. It's going to just give me a digital code to download Hitman. Like, I love Hitman, but I love Hitman on my Steam Deck already. Like I love Hitman on my PlayStation 5.
Yeah. And I do think that a lot of people are like you. Not everyone has other consoles, but I do think a lot of people in the initial purchasing of a Switch 2 probably own another console as well. Kobe says, can confirm I was at Pink Gorilla Games in U District over the weekend and the amount of Switch 2 games in stock was low. Only Rune Factory was there.
I miss U District, Pink Gorilla, dude.
Yeah.
I was at that one all the time.
Let's move on to story number 4. Elden Ring movie director Alex Garland is on his 7th playthrough of the game, reveals his toughest boss. This comes from Simon Cardy at IGN. Director of the upcoming Elden Ring movie, Alex Garland, is on his 7th playthrough of From Software's epic fantasy RPG and has revealed the boss he found the toughest to take down. Do you know who it is? Do you have any guesses?
I already know who it is. I mean, it's also easy to guess.
Yeah. Speaking of IGN, ahead of the release of 28 Years Later, the zombie apocalypse film he's written 23 years on from penning the first movie in the franchise, he has said that the most difficult is Millennia, the blade of milk toast. How do you say that?
How dare you? How dare you? The blade of Mikola.
Blade of Mikola.
For as many times you heard Andy say Mikola, you should know how to say Mikola.
Yeah. But he says everything all fun. You know what I mean?
Milk
he gets
toast.
into his little Andy voice that he gets to do, and it's really cool. Then it always turns into Trump over time.
he always gets to Trump.
He starts with Millennia, it ends in Trump. I don't know how that happens, but it's Millennia who's the tough one. Garland explained, "I'm now on my 7th playthrough of the game. I've leveled up. I've got lots of juice and a cool sword and stuff like that, and I just throw myself at them again and again and again and again."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That was the technique I learned with Dark Souls. It's not that you just get better. It's more like monkeys and typewriters. You just keep doing it, and eventually one day they're dead.
Dude, shout out to Alex Garland, because people are afraid to admit that. None of this shit is skill. It is just, we just keep dying until we don't die one time facing the boss. You know what I mean?
Can you?
What's up?
This sentence he just said.
Yeah. Monkeys with typewriters, yeah. You not heard that phrase?
Monkeys and typewriters, you just keep doing it. Eventually one day they're dead?
Well, no, they're not dead. He's talking about the bosses in Elden Ring eventually being dead. But monkeys with typewriters is the idea that, like, if you just give a bunch of monkeys typewriters and have them type, eventually they'll form like coherent sentences in what they make. I butchered that, but it's something in that realm. Eventually they'll write Shakespeare.
Okay. Turns like you get what I'm saying, right? It's more like monkeys and typewriters. You just keep doing it, and eventually one day they're dead.
Here, Kevin's brought up the Wikipedia page.
The infinite monkey theorem.
Yeah.
Okay.
It states that a monkey hitting keys independently and at random on a typewriter keyboard for an infinite amount of time will almost surely type any given text, including the complete works of William Shakespeare. It's kind of like, think about
broken clock, right? Twice a day.
Oh yeah, I mean
somebody dies.
Yeah, somebody dies. I mean, it's the infinite timeline theory almost, like it's like MCU, right? If there's infinite timelines,
yeah, anything can happen.
There's a timeline where me and you are sitting here right now, and you just fucking explode.
You're right.
That could be this timeline.
Oh,
in 10 seconds, you might fucking explode. Notice how your smoke is bigger than mine. You might fucking explode.
Anyway, but it turns out Garland's never had quite the trouble with Star Scourge Rodan. Instead, offering his very own...
Radon. Grow up.
Radon, everybody.
Grow up.
Instead, offering his very own game help guide on how to take down the gravity magic harnessing horseman. Rodon.
There you go.
Rodon's really easy. I thought Rodon was quite easy because as long as you sort of activate the people who can assist you in that fight, they got on with fighting him and they take off whatever it is, half his energy. You finish him off. It's all about activating those little summon signs dotted around.
How you feeling, Tim? You feeling a little bit explodey right now?
I'm feeling a little explodey.
It might happen. Tough.
It might happen.
This is the timeline.
This is it. I love this. This is fucking awesome. These were rumors that Alex Garland was working on an Elden Ring movie. Now they're true. Yep. And now it's like, oh, he's one of you sickos.
Here's the thing, right? Because I think I hated on this coming into it. Because I don't think every video game needs to be a movie. Granted, Elden Ring's a huge video game, so it probably should be a movie. But also, I don't know how I make an Elden Ring movie. And also, like, Alex Garland, I really like Alex Garland's movies, but it's been tough for me to visualize and, like, see the vision of, like, an Elden Ring. Now, you know what? I'm throwing all that out the window. This movie's going to be fantastic. It's gonna fucking make trillions of dollars at the box office.
In one multiverse, yes.
And I think in this multiverse.
Trillions. The first $1 trillion movie?
The first $1 trillion movie.
I love it. Why not, dude?
Also, Kevin's brought this up, right? This is how Radon looks. That's his little horse. Have you seen this guy before?
No, man. That's fucking cool, though.
And apparently, Alex Garland taking this dude out.
Sick.
It's actually a fun boss fight because you go in there and, like, basically there's a bunch of little summoning things on the ground, and you like kind of summon your own little small army to take them out.
The 3 little dots.
Yeah, 3 little dots.
Crazy stuff, man.
I honestly, to the box office thing, right? This is a fantastic cosplay. The thing that I was thinking about this morning is that there are too many big names involved for this to be a stinker and to fail.
That's how it always works.
You can't have Alex Garland, George Railroad Martin, and Miyazaki's name on a project, and like that can't fail.
Can't fail.
Too big to fail.
It's too big to fail.
Definition of too big to fail. And
Kobe,
so I look forward to this.
Kobe says, "Bless, do you think Garland adapts the story of Vike for the movie?"
I don't know who that is. How do they spell it? Because you're probably
Vyke.
V-Y. Okay, no, you probably pronounced that right. Vike. I'm just typing this into. Okay, here we go. We're on the fandom. Let's see here. Vike the Dragon Spear, also known as Roundtable Knight Vike. That sounds like it's one of Mike's friends. And Festering Fingerprint Vike is a character in Elden
Mike's
Ring.
the cover art.
Vike was a tarnished champion, better known for being the closest to becoming Elden Lord before the arrival of the player protagonist. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I think there's a number of options for how he approaches this, right? Like, for me, it's the thing of, like, and I've talked about this already, but do you follow the player's journey as the tarnished coming in and becoming Elden Lord? Is that an interesting thing?
No.
I don't.
There's only one thing they can do to actually keep people happy.
What's that?
It has to be about like a 13-year-old girl that's like playing Elden Ring, and then she gets sucked into the TV, and then she's in the Elden Ring world.
No, don't make it an isekai.
Let's do it.
Don't make it an
That's
isekai.
what y'all want, right?
No.
That's what you want from this movie?
My bet would be it's about the Shattering. There's like a war that precedes the events of Elden Ring that kind of sets the stage up for what we're doing in the game. I think you adapt that because that's way more story heavy, and you can make that cinematic and make that make sense and make it fun. I think following the journey of a tarnished is like it's a solo journey, and then also in the game it's not voiced, and like it would be weird.
Well, now it would be voiced.
Oh no,
Chris Pratt.
we're not doing. No, we're not. We're fucking not doing
Sorry,
that.
Jack Black.
We're fucking not doing that. You're not
No?
gonna ruin Elden Ring. You're not gonna do it, Alex Garland.
Rihanna's gonna do the theme song.
I mean, you're getting me now. I could be down. Could it be Rihanna featuring Slick Rick?
Why not?
Lottie
Give me a lottie dottie,
Give me a
okay?
lottie dottie.
God, if we got a lottie dottie in Elden Ring Bless, that would be absolutely huge.
That'd be gigantic.
But if I wanted to know about something small, where would I go?
You'd go to our last news story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about.
It's true. Here's some Wii news for you. From Bandai Namco, as announced a few weeks ago, stronger and more challenging versions of the following Night Lords will begin to appear from the depths of the night as Everdark Sovereigns over the next few weeks. Gaping Jaw.
Oh, you know about Gaping Jaw? You know about Gaping Jaw.
Sentient Pest, Dark Drift Knight, other Everdark Sovereigns will be added to the game at a later date. Every week, a new Everdark Sovereign will arrive in Limeveld. Limveld. After an Everdark Sovereign appears, anyone who has defeated the original version of that Night Lord will be able to face its Everdark Sovereign form. When this time is up, the Sovereign will disappear from the available expeditions. ... For now.
Can I tell you, when I was reading this, I just had a moment where I was like, man, I love nerd shit, dude. I think something has, I mean, I've always been this way, right? But something has transformed in me in the last few years between becoming big into Magic, getting big into From Software shit, getting big into like even wrestling shit, right? Like there's something about when you're so in the weeds of a thing where you read a paragraph like this and you go, that makes sense.
Total sense.
But then I hear you reading it, I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense at all to the average person, to the well-adjusted human being.
Contextually, I can put it together.
Yeah.
You know?
Basically, we're getting harder versions of the bosses from Elden Ring, Night Rain, and they're doing it sort of like as like limited time events almost, right? Where you will get Gaping Jaw, Sentient Pest, and Dark Drift, and then like later on the other bosses will get their Everdark Sovereign forms, I guess. I imagine it's a new phase or just a higher difficulty, which these bosses are already
That's
really
what we
difficult.
need. That's what they need.
But like it makes sense.
Dom me.
Dude, if I can get this fucking Dark Drift Knight to dom me, we're cooking.
What about that Gaping Jaw?
I knew. Never mind. I was gonna make a joke. I'm not gonna make that joke.
Everybody, Borderlands 4 has been announced as the next Game Informer cover reveal. That's fucking awesome.
That's cool.
I am so impressed with the Game Informer crew. I think they're some of the coolest people on the goddamn planet. Being able to do what they're doing independently now, or whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
Our friends are doing
independently
things,
from
cool.
GameSpot or GameStop.
Exactly. But still getting Borderlands 4 as a cover story because they actually have a magazine to have a cover for.
Yep.
Fucking badass.
Super cool. And yeah, I loved having Wesley on yesterday, and like he was super excited about it and kept teasing like, yeah, we're revealing our cover art tomorrow, and like I could feel the excitement radiating through the Discord screen. And yeah, to see the Borderlands 4 there, it's like, oh damn, that's a huge get. Good for y'all. Like, and yeah, to your point, you're not GameStop anymore, right? Like you are operating independently. You're under a bigger like organization that bought you out, right? But like as a company, like you guys are independently operating. So like to be able to still have big gets like this for a physical magazine, like super
Very
sick.
Cool. Very sick. A Little Nightmare Showcase is set for June 24th. VGC says EA has narrowed down the launch window for its upcoming Skate reboot. In April, the publisher reiterated that Skate would be released in early access at some point in 2025. However, it's now narrowed this down to summer 2025, adding, yes, just months away from now.
Let's go.
Cool.
Really exciting.
Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time, will add a new mode named Roguelike Open World with its next free update. Update the world.
You know, there's some Wii news that I just add for Greg.
I know.
Because he'll put it in the thing, and I'm like, all right, sure.
Yeah.
You know?
The new update called Roguelike Open World. The next
Open World.
update's going to be Metroidvania or Search and Destroy action game.
Search
whatever.
action, open zone.
Grappin' comes to PS5 on July 4th.
Grappin looks kind of cool.
I don't know.
It looks fun. It's like a, I don't even know how to. It's like almost like a 3D platformer, but like you have like a grappling hook in first person.
Okay,
type
cool.
thing.
Thick.
Looks like a game that I think Mike would like. One of them ones. One of them ones.
Say less. Bluey's getting a Fruit Ninja Classic Plus limited time crossover event on Apple Arcade until August 13th.
This is another one of them Greg ones.
This is a drug front.
Where Greg...
Someone's making money inappropriately from this one.
I kid you not, Greg put that into the Wii News section, and it was a paragraph. And I saw him do it in real time and went, I'm editing that down. Because we don't need to talk about a paragraph of Bluey coming to Fruit
Ninja Classic Plus in a limited time crossover. God, do you think there's going to be as much of a hullabaloo about this as Super Mario 3D All-Stars being limited?
I mean, maybe. Wait, what are you trying to say? What's the point you're trying to make here about Bluey?
That Bluey getting a crossover in Fruit Ninja Classic?
What about it? You think it doesn't make sense?
No.
You think the Bluey audience isn't also playing Fruit Ninja?
No.
I guarantee you 1000% a bunch of parents read that story and went, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. I give my 3-year-old my phone all the time just to Fruit Ninja away so I don't have to take care of them.
Bluey it up.
And now they got Bluey in there. That's going to at least keep their attention for another 2 hours.
All right.
This just saved a bunch of families.
It's time for You Wrong, everybody. Jeppo says the Capcom showcases have announced new things. In 2023, they announced the Apollo Justice trilogy. Yeah, but like this one's not saying it's going to announce new things. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not expecting them to announce things of consequence. Whereas before they have had less things they have had less known quantities going in. This time they're like, we have this. So I'm not expecting them to fill that time with announcements.
I feel like whenever we don't react to something like this, they end up announcing something. So like, that's my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because if we do watch it, it's gonna be some boring shit. But if we don't watch it, let's go. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. That's King Booty who says, for information, search action's not new. That's the translation of what the game genre is called in Japan. I didn't say it was new. I'm just saying that I don't respect it.
It's called, search action. I'm looking it up. I'm tired of this. Giant Bomb does have a page about search action as a concept.
Yeah, they also have a fucking page for Wookiees from Star Wars that shaved their entire bodies.
What's funny is that, wow. Okay, so I typed search action on Google.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that came up was Metroidvania is the wiki page. So I click it. I do a Control F for search action.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only mentioned once in the Wikipedia page, but it's under notes. In Japan, this genre is often referred to as search action. I think we're wrong here, Tim.
You think we're wrong here?
I think we're wrong here, yeah.
What does that mean?
I think, here's my question. I'm gonna do research, right? I'm gonna do my journalist job.
Yeah. I have a call I have to be on in 2 minutes.
What is Metroid called in Japan? What is Castlevania called in Japan? Because is this a thing where Metroidvania wouldn't make sense as a term in Japanese? And so search action naturally.
I don't know, but like none of this. Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. That's what we're trying to bring into this conversation, Bless. This is the energy you want? That thing on the right?
I missed the Wookiee thing. I was too busy on Wikipedia. So that caught me by surprise.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just saying,
there
are sometimes that facts aren't right.
You know what? I disagree, but I feel you. I feel what you're talking about.
You get what
I
I'm
mean?
saying? It's just like, yeah, cool.
You got to run for president.
Go back to the go back to the Gooner conversation. It's just like, okay, technically Goonin means this one thing, but how do we use Goonin? We don't use it that way.
I missed this whole. What Gooner conversation are you talking about?
I don't know, man.
I missed the Gooner conversation.
I don't know, man.
Y'all were talking about Goonin? I gotta listen to content more, man.
You really do.
I gotta
everybody.
listen to content
We have some
more.
super chats I want to get to really quick. Dear Sixlet says, my use case for physical games was so that my family could share them since there was no digital sharing. With it being a family system, I wonder how wide that case is and how the new card system will affect physical sales. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Gonna be interesting to keep our eyes on. August says, hey, Tim, what are the chances we can get Robert Eggers in review for Halloween? I would say 0, but it's actually less.
Say Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't even know who that is.
I'm not familiar. I heard Roger Ebert. Is that
Yeah.
for the reviewer, the
Uh-huh.
movie reviewer? That's why I was
Ebert
like,
and
we're gonna
Roper?
review his reviews. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, who is this guy?
Robert Eggers.
Oh,
Oh,
is
here
it-
we go. Oh,
this dude.
Nosferatu.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not, though. Probably not.
Yeah, I'm down for Roger Ebert though.
Um,
R.I.P.
All right, everybody. This has been Games Daily. We're about to do an excellent episode of Gamescast. Roger and Caroline Polachek about to tear it up in interview form. Very excited for this one. Please stay tuned and leave some positive comments on all of this one because this is a bigger deal than normal for us kind of funny people.
Yeah.
But until next time, I love you all. Goodbye.